Such a beautiful, beautiful occasion to be together here today at the beginning of the beautiful holiday of Holi, the celebration of good over evil. We celebrate with colors, with music, with dance, but the actual symbolism is something that isn't something that washes off as easily as the colors. It's actually a very, very deep and beautiful symbol. There was a wonderful young boy named Prahlad. And Prahlad's father was a king, and a very powerful king. But he was a king who wanted everyone to worship only him. No one in his kingdom should worship God. Everyone should only worship him, the king. And of course, as fate would have it, he gave birth to a son who was a great devotee of God and a just bhakti-filled, nectar-filled, pure devotee of God. And so in the beginning, Prahlad's father would have all of the teachers and tutors try to talk some sense into his son, to stop worshiping God and to start worshiping him, the Father, the King. But as we all know, the truth is a magnet. And so rather than the teachers and the tutors being able to influence Prahlad, instead, in a very short time, Prahlad would have all of his teachers and tutors singing and chanting the names of God. So of course his father started to become desperate and tried so many different ways to actually first convince and then even tragically to kill his son. When we become overpowered with ego and illusion and ignorance, we find ourselves in a position where even our own family becomes our enemies. And this is what happened. But of course, Prahlad was protected by the power of his faith, and nothing touched him. And lastly, his father had Holika, who was Prahlad's aunt. And Holika had a very special boon. And the boon was that she had a shawl which could not be burned by fire. And so the plan was that Holika would take young Prahlad in her lap in a fire. She would be protected because of the shawl, and Prahlad would be burned and finished. But of course, outsmarting God is not quite so easy. And goodness prevailed. A wind came, blew away the shawl of Holika. She tragically was burned. Prahlad was saved. And yet, the story has even one other layer, which I just want to share very, very quickly, because it's more than the story of just faith and goodness over evil. But it's also the story that all of our religions share of the power of forgiveness. Because at the very, very end of the story, when finally Prahlad's father is actually killed by God, who has come down in form to protect his devotee Prahlad. And at the very end of the story, Prahlad is taken into the lap of God, who says to him, "I'm so sorry, my child, that it took me so long to come to you. Ask anything of me." And what is Prahlad, who has suffered so many trials, one after another, what does he ask? After asking asking that lifetime after lifetime he should be gifted with devotion. God again says to him, no, ask any boon. Let me give you something. And what Prahlad says is, please forgive my father. He should not suffer in his next life from the sins that he committed in this life. And you'll recognize a beautiful parallel of what Jesus Christ said on the cross, of what all of our religions teach us, is that power of forgiveness. So the celebration of holy, taken from the name Holy God, the and, is a celebration of the power of faith, the power of devotion, that no matter the trials, the tribulations that we have to pass through, no matter what people throw at us, that devotion, that faith will always protect us. And that when we are protected, when we are truly a devotee of God, what we ask for is only more and more devotion and forgiveness for those who have harmed us in any way. So as we celebrate Holi tonight and tomorrow, and we throw colors and we dance and we sing and we celebrate, the colors are a symbol of the color that our own heart should be colored with. The color of love and joy and divinity and goodness